All right, so if I could go back in time and give myself some brutally honest advice, that younger, poorer version of myself, I would say a few really hard truths. And these are the truths that I'm going to share with you in this video. Because if you learn these things, you can learn from someone else who has done stuff and succeeded and gone through some of the challenging things in life that could be avoided. So my philosophy in life is that if you can, wherever possible, learn from people who have been there, done that, so that you don't have to have the dumb, painful, and wasteful experience yourself. Now, I don't think any of your experience necessarily is wasteful. However, if you can avoid some kind of tragedy, some kind of pain in your life, I think you're kind of stupid not to. So that's just my opinion. I know some people don't agree with that. You need to try everything yourself and learn everything the hard way. It's a very effective way of learning, but it's not the most efficient way of learning, and it doesn't produce the most wealth in your life over time. Many people just get stuck in this rat race of stupid, desperate, dumb, stupid, desperate, dumb, result, stupid, desperate, dumb, result, and that's a really bad cycle to be in. So better to be in the place where you actually learn to learn from people who've been there, done that, done some stuff, done some hard stuff, made some great successes, and then learn to avoid those stupid, desperate, dumb mistakes that keep creating that vicious cycle of failure. And so, who am I? My name is Jason Ellinger. I am the founder and owner of Taika Translations, along with my wife, Margarita Ellinger. We are a multi-million-dollar company. Before that, we did plenty of different things in life, different types of entrepreneurial things, from flipping cars when I was United States Air Force, and to baking goods and selling them with my wife on Valentine's Day. It was a side gig of ours when I had another job. The video that I'm putting out right now is something that I wish someone had told me many years ago. So I hope as you watch this video, you get some valuable insight on how to not fail in areas of your life that will help you to prosper if you have the right mindset, if you have the right knowledge in your toolbox. So let's get started on that right now. So number one, mindset on success and work ethic. Okay, action over ritual. What the heck does that mean? Most people waste time trying to copy the ritual, the billionaire ritual morning habits. And the perfect ritual for your life never becomes a reality. Because what you don't realize is that person has had a set of circumstances, a set of sequences in his life that has led him up to that point that caused him to obtain and start to practice that ritual that you don't have in your life. You have a completely different background, a completely different upbringing, a completely different set of worldview principles that you're operating off of, and you can't fully understand, comprehend, and put into practice that ritual. You think, if I just do this for well enough, that I will get that. And that's not the case. There's a whole background and history that goes with that ritual that they're performing in their life, or that they're displaying. The point here is, success does not come from the perfect ritual, okay? Success comes from working hard on the right things in your life, not their life, not in somebody else's realm or world. It comes from working on the hard, right things in your life and in mine. Second, don't copy the summit, copy the climb. What the heck does that mean? Don't look at what successful people are doing right now, because that shiny picture of what you want to be a reality in your life wasn't the reality for the first 15 years of the climb. They probably worked for 10 to 15 years ridiculously and intensely hard so that they could get to where they are today. And if you copy what they're doing now, you're not copying the right phase. Because if you're not in that place and you want to be there, then you don't copy where they are right now. You copy what they did to get there. Look at what they did while they were still climbing. They worked relentlessly, they stayed disciplined, and they focused on the output, and they had a ruthless attention to the results. And that's what you have to have as well as I. One perfect example is I have cattle. I kept some of the cattle because I really liked those animals, but that was ridiculously unprofitable. And I had to come to the point where I had to release those really nice animals that I kind of liked to be able to make that business profitable. And so there's going to be things in your life, you can't just focus on the things that you like or want to be in your life. You actually have to stay disciplined and ruthless about the results for what this operation is producing, and then make the right next decision every single time after time after time, because it's not one right next decision after you've overcome one hurdle. It's not one success. It's a multitude of successes over time through a bunch of failures, ups and downs, making decision after decision. I heard one person say that indecision failed more companies than before decision. That is kind of true. If you are in this analysis paralysis in your entire life, not making a decision to actually do the thing, take the launch, take the next step, because you're not making a decision and failing, you're not learning from that failure so that you can prosper later and avoid that same type of decision in the future. So decision, results, decision, results, decision, results, good or bad, whatever the heck they are, you acknowledge those results and you make the right next action. Okay, so that's the second thing. Third, hardship does not guarantee success. What? Hardship doesn't guarantee success. A lot of the hardship that we bring on in our life is from our own doings, from our own stupidity. Desperate is a cousin of dumb. Desperate and dumb, they go together. Whenever you get desperate, you get dumb. And whenever you do desperate and dumb, the outcome is not awesome. It's dumber. So dumb, dumb, and dumber, right? So desperate and dumb, they go together. The outcome is not awesome. It's not amazing. It's not fun. It is absolutely desolation. So hardship does not guarantee success. So what do? Hard work and a brutal assessment of reality, taking the right next logical step in the profitable direction. That's what moves the needle. A tough childhood doesn't automatically create a strong entrepreneur. In fact, many people suffer from the trauma created from their childhood experiences. When they have that trauma, yeah, it's hard. It really sucks. I'm sad for you, but now you're in control of your life. And if you keep pointing back at that hardship in your life and say, well, I had a hard childhood, therefore my life must suck. It's going to suck. You're never going to get better. So you have to stop giving it power over your life. I had to stop giving that power over my life so that I could create a better future. Eventually, that excuse gets really, really old. My childhood was bad. I had this upbringing. I had that point of view, and these things are limiting. No, they're only limiting you if you decide to let them limit you now. If you decide to throw off that old crusty shell around your life of failure, and then do the required work to build prosperity into your life, then you will. But if you allow that trauma to control you for the rest of your life, it'll control you. And only you and only me can make that decision. And so I recommend you do that. What matters is what you do with your time today. What matters for me is what I do with my time today. I can build my brand. I can work on content. I can drive to clarity with team members. I can do a really good vision cast for our team, clarifying where the heck it is we're going. I can add meaning and value to our clients by introducing a new program. But sitting here and thinking about the trauma of the past helps me in no way, shape, or form. Heal and move forwards. All right, the second area, age and productivity. Stop delaying because of your age. 30 is not the new 20. Every single year you wait, you pay what I call ignorance debt. Life, it does not pause for you. Life doesn't stop. It's going to continue on and on and on, with or without you. So don't stop. Don't think that you'll do it later. Don't postpone what you want to accomplish in life. Start now. The time between right now and the thing that you want to accomplish in life is going to stay the same. And it's going to move like this down the road. And if you start at 45, you're going to be 75 by the time that you finish and get where you want to go. Is that what you want? Or would you prefer to get there by maybe 50 instead of 75? So if that's the case, start now. Your 20s are for growth. You have the most energy, you have the most strength, you have the least responsibilities at this time of your life. You need to stop chasing quick money, stop chasing quick wins, invest in skills, invest in knowledge and in your education, and get your butt to work. Don't just spend all of your time learning in the classroom. Learning in the classroom is important, and I've got some degrees behind my name to prove that's true, but ultimately, activity with what you know is going to make the difference. If you do nothing with what you know, then you're going to get nowhere. There's so many people that have master's and doctor's degrees that are up to their eyeballs in debt, that are nowhere near where they want to be in life, simply because they have a ton of knowledge and a depth of understanding, but the application and the execution has been very poor. In fact, most of the business owners I know either have a high school graduate degree or a bachelor's degree, and that's it. Because they understood that the time that they would spend in that classroom would be better invested working and focusing on the things that move their lives forwards rather than sitting there in a classroom learning more theory. That theory only gets you so far. All right, so some career and business lessons. Join growth environments, an environment where you will grow personally and your skills and your investment and your understanding of how business operates, of how the future that you want is created. Even if you have to work for a smaller amount of money, because you're getting paid both in experience and in money. As long as you can cover your bills at that time and gain the experience that you need to launch further and forward in life, then you're in a good spot. But don't stay there forever. You have to get the increase in salary and the increase in experience. Maybe the learning that you have gathered as you're in that organization can be reinvested in the organization, cause you to launch forwards in massive exponential growth of your own salary there. That way you can also recoup that investment that you have made in that organization. Maybe you start out small, but you take on a very important role in the organization and become very profitable in that role, both for your life and for your family. Another thing in the business and career section is you should build a product that sells itself. If the product is good, if the product has a good brand, if the product is needed in the marketplace, then ultimately over time, in many ways, it sells itself. Your reputation sells itself. The referrals that you get helps the product to sell itself. If the thing is actually excellent, fills a legitimate niche in the marketplace, then your marketing is much, much easier. But marketing a weak product will not fix the product. It will only cause you to fail much, much faster. So make an excellent product that practically sells itself when people get a taste of it. Now, branding is leverage. Your personal and business brand opens doors. You currently are either building or stagnating your personal brand. You have massive opportunities to be able to bring value to the marketplace, insight your personal experience, your personal history into the marketplace, and actually make a difference. Somebody has a similar path. Somebody needs the knowledge that you have. Somebody needs to understand what it is, your perspective, to be able to move to the next step in their life. Maybe they've got part of the journey and you've got the other part of the journey, and you can help them with that. That's what happens a lot of times on my channel. But this creates trust and compounds your brand effect over time. So you must build it and protect it. 4, overcoming fear and taking action. You may have tried and failed in the past. That's fine, as long as you fail forward. Because once you've failed, I don't even think that you truly failed. You actually learn something as long as you learn. Some people just keep failing and they're just a perpetual failure. And that's dumb. But if you actually learn something when you fail, then you can take yourself to the next level, making the right next steps. But fear is the enemy of progress every time. People get paralyzed. They're waiting for certainty. I heard a great general one time say, you know what? In order to be able to achieve an objective or launch a mission, I need to get 70 to 80% clarity and make up the difference with my experience in order to be able to make the right call. Because you're never going to be able to have 100% of everything you need to know to be able to make the right next call. You're going to have to use your gut, your intuition, your experience to make up that difference. So stop waiting till you have 100% knowledge. Perfectionists, that's what Henry Ford said. People who don't make mistakes work for those of us who do. Now, start small. Take 45 minutes a day, an hour a day, and read something. Send one email, make one phone call. Tiny actions, they build and create momentum. Eventually, you'll start to get in a routine of making those right actions that cause your brand to be built and that help you to overcome the fear that you have for taking action. But if you take small actions day after day after day, this starts to compound and you start to train your muscles, because nobody learns how to send great emails. They can send 20,000 great emails that create a $10,000 return every single time they send out the email. Nobody does that on their first try. Well, maybe somebody did it. I don't know them though. But you can start where you are today. You send out that next video. You post that next podcast. You create that next piece of content. And it doesn't matter if you don't have the result you're after, because results compound over time as you stay consistent. Sometimes the person who wins is the one who's in it the longest. Now, when you're working through overcoming fear and taking action, one of the best possible pieces of advice that I've heard is preparation builds confidence. If you are not a confident person, then it probably means you need to do more preparation. Prepare relentlessly until your confidence builds. Once you have practiced something 100 times, do you think you'll be better at it than if you practice something 5 times? If not, there's something wrong with how you're practicing. However, most likely you're going to be incredibly, ridiculously better after you've done it 100 times. Confidence is not a personality trait. It's not something that's just innate to some portion of the population. It's the result of practice and you and me being ready. So you and I have to go out, practice what we're doing, and practice until we're confident. And then that gives you that strength and that removes some of the fear and some of the edge off of taking the next action. Sometimes that's enough. All right, so number 5, people, labels, and growth. Choose growth-oriented people to be a part of your life. Surround yourself with friends who talk about the future, not just the past. With a group of people that just talks about the past, I can guarantee you, you will not achieve what you want to achieve in life. Surround yourself with people that are looking into the future to create something bigger, brighter, greater, more visionary, more legacy-minded, more in alignment with the dreams that you have. If you don't, you are condemning yourself. What does that mean? Does it mean that you might have to stop hanging out with some people? Absolutely yes. I've had to do this multiple times in my life at different stages of growth. Some relationships, they started to become a simple drag because those people were only looking at the past failures, the past experience, or even the past victories, and not even interested in creating a new victory today and creating a new future. And I'm like, we're 30 years old. You haven't done all that you've been doing in your life. And you haven't done all that you've been called to do in your life. You haven't created the most amazing situation that you possibly could. You're 30. You got like 40 years ahead of you of good, solid work. Let's go do something else awesome. But if you keep looking back on the things that you've done, never looking forwards, and don't surround yourself with people that look forwards onto the amazing and powerful accomplishments that you can create if you just set your mind to it and start the process, then you will never move in that direction. And that's a tragedy for so many people. They stay in their comfort zone of only their peeps, and they never move forwards. Now, some relationships are enduring, and they must stay with you along your entire journey because they support, strengthen, and give you a source of meaning and powerful relational connection. Keep those, but take stock of those relationships and see, is this truly a relationship that helps me build into the future that I want to create? Or is this a relationship that is going to cause me to never fulfill my dream or never start to take the next step into the vision that I have for my life? Listen, reject limiting labels. What does that mean? I'm bad at math. I'm not patient. Stop saying that stuff. If you're bad at math, remember what I just said about building your confidence? The same goes for this. Practice. If you think that you can't practice math after you've got out of school, you're wrong. If you want to become better at math, then start practicing. Most of the math that we actually have to do, even in all of our business calculations, is like freshman grade math in high school. And like algebra is pretty much the max that you have to use to be able to calculate everything that you need to calculate in your business. And some people say it's even like 7th and 8th grade math. If you feel like you're bad at math, then practice, for Christ's sake. There's plenty of programs online. You can sit there and calculate numbers. You can learn to calculate numbers in your head. You can think of ways to be able to manipulate the numbers in a way that will help you be able to count things faster or do math faster. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. Simply practice. Some people are more inclined. I understand that. But if you feel like you're bad at it, then get better. And how do you get better? By practicing. If you're not patient, practice patience. Like, I'm just not a patient person. Yeah, patience can be learned. There's just not amazing people out there who are just automatically patient. They probably just had to live through a lot of crap in their life that caused them to have to be ridiculously patient. And then they kind of learned to be patient. And now they're patient people. And so what is that going to take for you? You're going to have to learn the same thing. When I was a parent and had one child, I was not as patient as I am now with a parent of 8 children because I had to learn along the way to be more and more and more patient with everyone that came along. So patience grows in you as you apply yourself. So when you're in a situation that requires patience, choose to be more patient. That's a choice, not a reality that's imposed upon you. All right, so simplify communication. The third thing in this category in people's labels and growth is Simplify communication. In conflict, in business, stick to observable facts. Don't migrate to assumptions or feelings. It keeps relationships strong. You would think that, well, I have to have my home environment has to be intimate and squishy, and my business environment needs to be fact-driven. In reality, what makes both of those entities strong is an acknowledgement of reality, acknowledgement of the facts, and a willingness to look at them boldly in the face and be able to be on a strong relational level to talk about them. So many families I see are not able to talk about the details because, well, we just don't talk about that because we both get angry when we talk about it. No, you can't be in a healthy relationship and not be able to talk about all of the things that matter to both of you at an intimate level without getting angry and killing each other. If you want a strong relationship, you have to simplify your communication and detach from a lot of your feelings or assumptions as you're working through communicating. Simplify the communication. Sometimes it's like literally from our marketing team. We have to get the right content in front of the right eyeballs. You would think that you would have to say some kind of really complicated rocket science idea, but literally it's the right stuff in front of the right eyeballs, creating the right relationship. As simple as that, to help you be able to market further, to be able to help you able to market, build your brand, and move forward. Simplify your communication and make sure that you stick to the observable facts and realities in your home, in your relationships with your friends. And if you can't talk about certain areas with your friends because they just blow up or they just go off on a tangent, that means you need to limit the time you spend with those people and find a new person that you can add in that place so that you don't get relationally bankrupt. So, all right, so here are some final takeaways that I want to share with you. I read a book recently from Jim Collins, incredible book. He's talking about some of the billion-dollar companies. And honestly, I was very relieved to see his conclusion. And one of the elements of the conclusion was that success is simply getting knocked down thousands of times and getting up yet one more time. That's it. So you're doing ordinary things. You're marketing, hiring, creating a sales funnel, inspiring your team, driving to clarity, doing all these ordinary things in your organization. Or you're creating goals with your family, casting a vision for what next year looks like, planning, making sure you make date night, making sure you spend time with each of your children, creating extraordinarily consistent patterns in your life that produce the fruit you want, doing ordinary things over a really long time. That's the stuff that creates legacy. Second, final takeaway, education is great and action is the best investment you can make in your life. Education is awesome. Get some education, but take action. Every day that you delay, your ignorance debt grows. Don't allow that to be a reality. Get some knowledge, but take action today. And third, your future self is your real competition, not the people you see around you, but your future self. Work today so that your future self will look back on you and be impressed with you. Don't create the reality where your future self looks back on yourself and says, man, I'm disappointed. I resent not doing that. I resent not doing more faster, because you have control over that today. So start. So guys, listen, these lessons are not theories. These are lessons that I have learned as an entrepreneur and a CEO. And here's the good news. I share content just like this every single week. So if you want more clarity on building success into your life, building a business, building your family, or building a better future, then subscribe now and share this with one of your friends that could vastly benefit from it. And let's keep building success together.